all of the dust picks up the lead from the mines and it drops into our homes and into our gardens and into our yards.
Over the past 140 years, lead mining has become etched into the fabric of Broken Hill. Ethan Pearce and his family live in the shadow of the famous Line of Lode, the ore body that dissects the city.
We are a block away, about 500 metres away from the closest hole in the mines, so a lot of dust comes over our way.
Like many of the children here, his son and daughter have elevated levels of lead in their blood. That can cause serious health impacts like learning disabilities, so Ethan has them regularly tested.
It's terrible as a father sitting there with your son, getting all this blood drawn out of his finger and crying and being very upset. It is very hard, but it needs to be done.
It's poison, and our kids are playing in poison, and you have no way to get away from that.
Since the 1990s, millions of dollars have been spent on blood testing and intervention programs. Despite this, children's lead levels, particularly those from Aboriginal families, remain high.
It can be fearful for children and for parents. So cognitive issues, it can impair speech, it can impair learning, it can, cause drastic effects on their health.
Professor Mark Taylor is one of Australia's foremost lead experts. He says the dust produced by mining has caused widespread contamination here.
Key sources are current and legacy mining activities, legacy sites around town, in particular the Line of Lode, and also lead sources inside people's homes and in the yards, like garden soil.
In 2018, he was commissioned by the New South Wales Environment Protection Authority to prepare a report on how people were being exposed to the heavy metal in Broken Hill and provide options to curb the threat. His suggestions included relocating at-risk families, replacing old homes with new well-sealed housing, and setting limits for lead dust emissions.
There are some trigger values set for some operations around the nation, but there's no formal values for lead in dust. And I think that for me, that's one of the key matters for consideration by the regulatory authorities. If once an operation is going, they need to set appropriate standards that are protective of human health.
Professor Taylor gave the report to the EPA in December 2019, but it wouldn't be published for nearly 4 years. Documents obtained by 7:30 show the EPA believed the report contained recommendations that may have been unpalatable to the mining companies and the community in Broken Hill. In internal emails, the EPA said one reason it wasn't released was because of discomfort among the mining companies about what might be expected of them, and they would prefer that we didn't publish it.
Did you make any attempts to encourage its release?
Oh, I think that's true. Every scientist likes their science to be out in the public domain, because I did that science for the very purpose of expediting and improving outcomes for children in Broken Hill.
While the EPA was deciding when and how to release the report, funding it gave to local medical services to protect children ran out. A reduced program was then delivered.
Oh, it's frustrating. It's really hard because you want to do everything you can, and it's not much we can do. We should be able to remediate all the homes. Children shouldn't be living in poison.
When the EPA did publish the report in October 2023, it wanted to avoid media attention.
When we say release, we mean quietly load it onto the LeadSmart website and not tell anyone.
Professor Mark Taylor now works for the State Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water. He was not aware of those emails.
You have to ask the EPA why they decided to do that.
I will. I'd like to know your response.
It's not something I really can comment on. I was just glad the most important people had seen that report, which were the miners, the government and the stakeholders.
Tony Chappell is the CEO of the New South Wales EPA.
Well, I'm very disappointed to read those. It's not reflective of our culture. I think that's a mistaken view. No industry will ever dictate the terms of the release of information that's relevant to the community, and nor should they. I'm very committed to transparent provision of real-time information.
While the EPA was sitting on the report, the state's Department of Planning started assessing a proposed silver, lead and zinc mine near Mudgee in the state's central west. Unlike Broken Hill's underground operations, this was to be open cut, and the mine site is 2 kilometres from a primary school in the village of Louis.
That's ridiculous to actually approve a mine that has a primary school so close.
Olive farmer Jane Bentivoglio and other residents have been repeatedly assured by government agencies and the mining company that any lead dust can be managed.
Government, to this day, can't protect people in Broken Hill from the lead dust that is from current mining emissions up there. We don't want this in Mudgee.
Bowden Silver declined 730's request for an interview. In a statement, the company said any attempt to link the Broken Hill report with the Bowden Silver project is factually incorrect and inappropriate. It said modern mining and processing methods and the strict regulatory regime will prevent the lead-related issues associated with Broken Hill.
There's a level of exposure and contamination in the soil in Broken Hill which is very substantial, and it's a legacy of that activity. And any new project, such as the one you've referenced, would need to implement best-in-class controls for dust suppression. And if there are exceedances, they will be dealt with immediately by the regulator.
But back in 2023, an email shows the prospect of another lead mine had sparked alarm at the EPA. A message from a senior manager to New South Wales Health said they were keen to avoid another Broken Hill situation from occurring. But publicly, the state government and mining companies said there was no relevance to the Bowden's project and that its benefits outweigh the impacts.
Bowden say, don't compare us with Broken Hill. I'm sorry, it is a 1.5K open cut mine, and once they open it, the lead will be there and it'll be blowing for centuries. They will not be able to protect the community.
Well before that, we would see exceedances of the emission standards or dust production standards. And at that point, we would intervene as a regulator, potentially halting the operation or suspending the licence until that was rectified.
The Bowden's mine is yet to receive final approval. Jane Bentivoglio believes the report should have been publicly available years before its release.
Well, it was a cover-up. This was a big cover-up by government because government wanted this mine to go ahead. To sit on something like that is just atrocious.
The State Planning Minister is adamant there was no cover-up.
Look, for a start, that was a report that was produced under the previous government. We released it.
A response group was established in 2023 to manage Broken Hill's lead and minimise health impacts. Professor Taylor's recommendations have formed part of its discussions. The EPA says while the report's public release was delayed, it has continued working with community.
Our families are very restricted to have that safe housing. We know that there's lead in these homes. We know that there is poison in these homes and these children are living there.
Look what you're doing in Broken Hill. You've got to fix up your own mess here. Don't bring that mess here to Mudgee. We don't want it here.